Hello, my name is David Webb, and this is a video for Dweebovision. I am a Scrabble grandmaster, and in this video I am going to play Scrabble while providing in-game commentary on my moves. Hopefully this will help to improve your game, and be fun to watch. The game has just started, so let's join the action. It's my opponent to go first. She has played Ms. I have a vowel-heavy rack. I need to be sure that I don't have a bingo, or that I do have a bingo, and spot it through the M or the Z. I can't see one there, and I don't have a 7. So I'm looking to play parallel to Ms. and take advantage of the Zo or Zar hook. And it would be good to play beside the M as well. So how can I do that? So I'm probably looking at placing my T here. So if the O was here, do I have anything? Gosh, this looks like there ought to be several possibilities. So what about the A being in this spot? Well, that works. Probably gives away the least. It would be nice to play off one more vowel. And I can do that with iota. I am placing an I next to a triple letter square. But I would much prefer to keep 2 vowels with a consonant rather than 3. Not a great rack. Duplicate tiles and the W, but this W is at least a scoring tile. I've got woolly as a 6-letter play. Can't see anywhere to play that at the moment. Iota takes a B and a D in front. Well, I can play woolly in column 7, making emo. I certainly want to sort this rack out as soon as possible. So if I can't play woolly, well, if I can't play woolly, I'm going to struggle to play off an I and O and a W. And playing off all 3 of those tiles is a priority in terms of leaving a decent rack leave. Ms takes a Z at the end, I think, and nothing else. Now my woolly spot has been taken, but a new one has been provided. £26 points. Not great, too many vowels, so there could be a vowel shortage at the end of this game. There may be an 8 through the right floater, but the only floating consonant is a W, which doesn't make an 8. The board's looking quite tight. Zax takes nothing in front or after it, so the whole of the bottom half of the board is only accessible via hooking mope. So we could have a ladder leading up to the top right. I think all of my scoring options involve using the tiles in woolly. ITA does take an L in front, but nothing goes in front of mope or Zax, so that's not particularly useful. I'm struggling to see anything that I would play with this rack if my opponent doesn't make a move. Only my E goes after the W in terms of playing down column 12. And that's one of the tiles I'd like to keep. I'd like to play off a U and an I. So through a T I would have out lie. Well, I have law wine, and that's, wow, atomizer, pretty good. Only 22 points, but still a nice play. I do have law wine through the B, and this is a really wide open play. Let me see what it scores. It's wide open. But it scores 24 points, which is okay. It sorts the rack out, and it is providing two openings. It's providing access to the triple word square at A8, but also to the one at A15. And A12 is quite a hot spot for a four-letter play through the eye of Lawwine. But is this needlessly open? I guess what would be perhaps better would be a double-double through the R of Atomizer. But I can't see anything. Well, I can't see such a play. And I can't see a play which plays the I and the U. So I think this is okay. That's better. Bridges. And I think begirds. And Bridges plays in row L, making Atomizer. So hopefully my opponent will be drawn to row A. Now I think the only anagram of Bridges is begirds, and neither begirds or Bridges plays in row A. So I'm a bit stuck if my opponent blocks the row L play. Do I have anything in column 14 through the E of Lawwine? Not that I can see. Well, I guess I could play bridge and L in row E. 39 points. It would be much better to play the bingo if I can. Now I have the A and T of Atomizer as floaters. But a Bridges doesn't play, and Brigades also doesn't play. Fantastic. 46 points for my opponent. But a lot more for me. I'm going to play begirds because Bridges takes an A in front. $95. And I draw the Q with the U, which is good. And at the moment, key QUAY plays in row A. And I have query in row K, which is going to score a lot. So I think this is the only play which plays in this spot. 61 points, which is a huge score. Just pausing in case there's an even better one available. Nearly qubit in column 2. I'm just wondering about, well, even if I have a play in column 3, I don't think it's going to score as much as query, so I'm going with this. Still no blanks have appeared. Now my opponent has lost contact or quit, so I will wait to see if she returns. And she does, great. Now, I don't have a bingo with this rack. I do have 3 scoring tiles in the B, the H and the P. I'll be looking to play off 2 of them, and that shouldn't be too difficult. I could play BOH at B2, for example. What else do I have? I've got a 50-point lead at the moment, which is good. Now, do I have a play in column 2 putting one of my high-scoring tiles on the triple letter square? Well, I don't need to worry about that. That's been blocked. 37 points for my opponent, who keeps scoring well. So, this is what I was thinking of. Rack leave is good. 25 points. It's not a huge score, but I can't see anything higher on this board. I'm looking in row 12 to see if I can play parallel to Woolly, but none of my high-scoring tiles goes after the I. I'm not very happy with this move because it's going to be pretty easy for my opponent to score well in row C, and she's quite close to my score. I'd rather I wasn't making it quite so easy. Now, I'm looking in row C. Do I have anything which goes after IN? I don't, so I can forget about that. J6 above UR, I can place my P or my B, but I'm not going to be able to play off 2 high-scoring tiles. I could play bar in column 7, making bar, at and hoy. Only 20 points, but providing no openings for my opponent. I really don't like this play. It's just too easy for my opponent to score, and there are not a lot of scoring opportunities on this board. So, can I play in a way which doesn't provide such a good opportunity? I'm still looking in row C. I could play hop, hip and Only 2 O's left. Ah, well, what about playing Opar in this spot? $22 points doesn't provide much for my opponent. I prefer this. I have belated and bleated, but I don't think there's anywhere to play either of those on the board at the moment. I'm looking in columns 13 and 14 to see if I've got any plays beginning IN or TE. I have got the ABLE ending. Can't see anything through in either of those columns. I've got a 40-point lead, which is pretty slender, and it will vanish if my opponent bingos. I'm looking around making sure that none of my 7s can play. That would be an expensive miss. Through an I would have editable. Now, what about the floaters in Ocria? Do I have anything beginning OC or R? Nope, I don't think so. Do I have anything in row C? Towards the right-hand side of the board? Well, I still don't have anything to go after IN, so anything I have is not going to score very well. I've got bad in column 12, making alongside woolly. But that's only going to score in the low to mid-20s, which isn't great. But right now I'm not in the position of playing catch-up. I do have a small lead, so my opponent is under slightly more pressure to make something happen. Now I do have the D for going after mope. How many Ds left? 2. Well, I'll see what options are available, but I may try and hang on to the D because of that hook. Mope takes DR and S after it, and Y, maybe. I've got 12 minutes left, my opponent's got 10, there's 31 tiles in the bag. I'm just going back to the floaters in Ocria to be sure I don't have an 8, but obolated is not good. My opponent could well have one of the 2 blanks and be close to a bingo. But if she bingos, she may be providing an opportunity for me to play a bingo. Just over 9.5 minutes left for my opponent. Now, if I can't bingo, what do I have apart from bad in column 12? Well, do I have something which makes moat? Folic does not take an S, only 20 points. The I's in the wrong spot for editable, so I do not have a bingo, and my opponent has taken the spot where I was thinking about playing. That's annoying. I do not have a plan. So I could play debate in column 12, making moat. And one reason for playing a lot of tiles, even though I do have a bingo-y rack, is to increase my chances of drawing one of the 2 blanks. Still 3 E's and 2 A's left. This doesn't feel great, playing off all these tiles. I could pick up a lot of rubbish. 10 vowels left out of 34 tiles. So this could hugely backfire. I could pick up 4 N's and 2 R's. But 30 points is a big score. Do I go for this? I think I will. I like the idea of scoring. I don't want my opponent to catch me without having to bingo. Well, that was partly my fear that I would have a consonant-heavy rack, and it certainly backfired in terms of drawing a blank. I've got a 50-point lead, so my opponent would get a 20 or 30-point lead if she were to bingo. And I'm going to struggle to score with this rack. I've got a D for making debated, so I could play glad and debated. That's not particularly great. There's still a V in the bag, so if I don't play it I could end up with 2. This is going to be a tough rack to deal with. The D, G and V are all fairly non-synergetic. And if my opponent does bingo, I'll be wanting to bingo back, and to do that I need this rack to be a lot better. It's possible I could consider changing. If I play Vang, for example, in row J, I'm only going to score between 10 and 20 points. I'm opening up column 15 and I'm keeping 2 Ds. So that's not particularly great. 35 points for my opponent. That's a good score for her. Now, has she provided a place for me to score? So I've got the G for making jag, an A for going after ut. I can play gad, and I think this is going to be better than changing. Just 23 points, keeping DLNV. I think it's better than changing. I'm just wondering if I can extend that by 1 more tile. But I can't. Great, I draw 2 E's. There is only 1 E unplayed now, so which restricts my opponent's bingo chances. I don't have a bingo with this rack. I probably ought to be thinking about closing the board up a bit, given how few bingo lanes there are. And I think the floaters in Okrie are good floaters for my opponent to bingo through. So I could play cleave, C-L-E-V-E. That would be quite effective. Well, too late. My opponent has bingoed and taken a 36-point lead. There are 8 tiles left. There is a blank out there. And 2 S's, and the S's can pluralise chin. So I'm thinking about playing Venged across here. It's going to score well and play off 5 tiles. 33 points, keeping the L and M. Well, I do not draw the blank. I am only 3 points behind. Well, this is going to be a very difficult game to win. My opponent could empty the bag. I could not see another vowel. So, what to do with this rack? I have got the K for going after Jun, but I almost certainly do have to play through a vowel, so I could play Merc in column 2. And I may have a play in row F, placing the K on the triple letter square, knit, for example. So 339 to 342, 3-point difference. But it's hard to see from the remaining tiles that my opponent has got a bad rack, and she may be able to play another bingo. I'm looking around for anywhere that I can score well, and this board doesn't offer very much. Well, I could play Merc and Think in column 6. 27 points. I've got a T for going after EF in row N, but I can't make much use of that. And I don't have a play from the E of debate across to the triple word square. My opponent's got just 4 minutes left. I have 9 minutes, so I'm in no time trouble at all. But my opponent has certainly got the advantage in this game. I'm wondering if I've got anything in column 7 through ED. It's really a case of looking around the board at the available vowels to identify candidate plays. Gad takes an E after it. Well, just 3 minutes left for my opponent. She must be close to a bingo, but there is a V, W and Y out there. If all 3 are on her rack, she probably does not have a bingo. But I think there are plenty of opportunities on this board if she has all 3 to play off 2 of them. Especially the first E avenged. Well, maybe she's got a bingo and is just spending her time looking for the best one. Just over 2 minutes left on her clock. So at the moment I'm looking at playing through the E avenged myself, or possibly through the U and R in column 6. Well, just 1.5 minutes left. Wow, no bingo. 28 points. And only 6 tiles left, so she cannot bingo now. But she does have a 31-point lead. And I'm not going to be able to improve this rack. And I don't think I can go out in 2. So I think what she's done is enough to win. Now, I can play Knelt down here. Let me see if this gives me an out in 2. M, R, R, MURR is good. Well, it doesn't. 21 points is going to take me to 360, 10 points behind. I'm not sure if my opponent can go out in one. I'm not sure if Savoy's is good. I think it is. And if it is, it plays in row N. But she may not see it or be sure of it. So if I can set up an out in two, I ought to, because I think that's the only way I'm going to win this game. So that's knelt for 21. What else have I got? This shows how hard it is to play when you have no vowels at all. I've got mutt and ret in row C. 23 points. What I don't have is anywhere to play off 5 tiles. Knelt is the best I've seen in terms of playing off a lot of tiles. Now, well, is there a way of playing off an R? Don't think so. So supposing I do play knelt, well, I can play merc in this spot. Then I don't have any scoring tiles. But do I have an out with LNRT? Extremely unlikely. I'll be looking to play through 2 tiles. So let me go back to knelt. Do I at least have a decent second move, just in case my opponent misplays the ending? M and R. Well, I've got rum and and rem in row C for over 20 points. I think I'm going to go with this. My opponent's short on time, so I think this will put some time pressure on her. So rum is the play that I've seen. Well, that might be the only play I can see. Silvers, I think it's good. I am going to challenge it in case it's not. And it's fine. So great spot by my opponent. And the final score, 355 to me, 414 to my opponent. A winning margin of 50-something points. 45, 55, 59 points. So well done to Rivergirl. Let's see what I missed. Now, this was my opponent's first rack. She played Ms. I could have had Ioli as an alternative to Iota. Iota scored 6 more points and I think is probably slightly better. I played Woolly and that looks best. Nice rack for my opponent. Atomizer. Did she have a bingo? Nope. Okay, so Atomizer, and then I had this awful rack. Lawwine looks best. Hits for my opponent, and then I had this bingo, and I think Bigurd's definitely better than Bridges because of the A front hook for Bridges. Ochree for my opponent, and then I had Query for 61. Which looks best. My opponent plays Finn. And then I have 3 high-scoring tiles, and I think I spent a while on this rack before playing Opar. B1, Toff. Okay, well, there are a number of alternatives there, but I think Opar compares, well, it compares reasonably okay with them. It's at the low end in terms of score, but the rack leave is better than most of the rack leaves there. Now this is the point at which my opponent had a blank, played Folic, and I had an unplayable bleated, and this is the turning point in the game. I was 20 points ahead here, I had a bingo on my rack, nowhere to play it, and I played off 6 tiles and then struggled for the remainder of the game with really awful racks. So let's see if I could have done better than debate and moped. Cabled A4. Yeah, cabled A4, although it's 8 points less, is retaining a vowel, and I can see that this is a consonant heavy bag, so I probably ought to have given more thought to retaining at least one vowel. And look at that, J6. Burette. Well, I'm not so keen on that because it opens up row O, but the rack leaves pretty good, and then debates down there as well. Det G12. Well, that's interesting. That's keeping 2 vowels, but given the vowel shortage, a vowel-heavy rack leave is quite good. 12 points less than debate. Probably worth analysing this move to find out what's best. Certainly, the way things turned out, debate was a bad play, but that's only because of the pickups that I had. If you simulate the game, you will run through every possible pickup and be able to determine which move was winningest. It's not clear just from looking at that which is the best play. Anyway, I played debate. This was my opponent's rack. She played Jun. And I played Gad at J13. Yeah, that looks fine. Good bingo by my opponent. I played Venged, playing off both my vowels. There were still 3 vowels and a blank out there, and I needed to... Well, I thought even with scoring I might be able to catch my opponent without a bingo. So I think Venged looks okay. Gosh, 3 tiles left. The blank was one of the ones in the bag. And my opponent did have the 3 high-scoring tiles. So she played Wooer. Then I had this horror show. Knelt and murked. You can see at the rack leaves on the right, there is just nothing which is going to produce a 2-move out. I don't think so. I'm pretty sure I was doomed. And in which case I probably should have played Merc. Yeah, well, my opponent would have had an out in any event. And this was my opponent's rack, and she had Silvers, Savvies, and Savoys, and Silvers was the highest scoring, so well done to Rivergirl for spotting that. And that was the end of the game. So, an interesting game. I had a narrow lead in the middle of the game, and then everything hinged on the debate rack, and I still don't know what the best thing to do with that rack was, but after it was played I was then in difficulty, and my opponent played counting just before I was looking to close down that spot. So I think the 2 significant features of this game were the debate play and the fact that my opponent was able to bingo with her counting move before I could block that spot. So an interesting game. I hope you enjoyed watching it and got something out of it. My name is DWEEB, and this has been a video for Dweebovision.